Hi everyone, welcome to another video. So I am very tired and Mr. Bean is kind of sick, so that's really all that's on my mind right now is just like being a worrywart about him, which if you guys don't know, and if you foster kittens then you definitely know, or even puppies or any kind of small baby animal, or if you've ever had a baby, then you know how fast things can change from being okay or just a little bit under the weather to really bad really fast. Like, you know how fast that kind of stuff can spiral. So even if it doesn't seem serious, I always get super worried when it's like after a long enough time you kind of start developing a sixth sense where you kind of start getting the tingles and that gut feeling that something is wrong. So I already put on my foundation, my concealer, my eyebrows, and I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into the color makeup. My Olive Young order did arrive. It wasn't too large. I mostly got it to get the CLIO Co-Short collection because I'm a sucker for cat makeup, but I realized I actually never got around to using this new Romand spring palette like I had intended to, so I'm going to use that, and I was going to pair it with this new Heart% lip glaze. It's a black one. I'm finally starting to slowly accumulate and acquire all the black balms and glosses. What few reviews I could find, none of them ever mentioned it being painful or not, and I'm terrified of these because they're all, you know, they all just have to be plumping, which bothers me. I'm very nervous about if this is going to cause me pain or not, but we'll see. So I was going to use my Fui blush, but I thought I had both the purple and the rose ones in my cart, but now that I think about it, the purple one sold out from under me, and so all I got was the rose one. This is not going to match. I'll have to use this later. I would like to just stick within the Korean range just for the sake of this video, so I think these might actually work together. These may work. This pink may work. If not, I'll have something similar. I also did finally get some brand new Korean mascaras to replace the only ones I had that arrived dry, and I tried to rescue them with Duraline and it just never worked. I finally just got straight up new ones from Olive Young. Hopefully those are not dry. So I really want to do a look based around this extremely dead looking denim shade. So I'm just gonna go ahead, because I know Korean shadows can sometimes be a little bit sheer, and once my eyelids are too matte it can be very hard for me to get more powder to stick down. So I'm gonna just go ahead and start with this shade, and then I'll blend it out with a lighter shade. That was a lot more pigmented than I was expecting, and that is like it's definitely just like a super dead blue-gray. Okay, so the first initial layer I usually don't try to blend it too much because this is the layer that's sitting on top of my unset eye primer. I also slapped on way too much in one go because I thought it would be kind of sheer. Usually Korean shadows are more sheer, and it's like, okay, I get kind of annoyed when people are like, oh, it's not fully pigmented, it's not fully opaque, that makes it bad immediately. Because here's the thing, in Korea, if you look at the actual Korean marketing, like you actually look at the promo images and text, they don't usually, it's really uncommon for them to put pigmentation as one of the selling points. Like, you know how Urban Decay always says high impact pigment, opaque pigmentation, super intense bold colors as part of their marketing, and so when the eyeshadow palettes arrive and the shadows don't build and they're sheer, then it's a really bad thing. Like, they misled us. It was like false advertising basically. Korean brands don't market based on that. So to say that a shade that not being opaque is a bad thing is kind of disingenuous, because that wasn't the point of the brand. The brand never promised that. Usually what they're promising is good wear time, blurring effect, extremely blendable, and flattering colors for whatever undertone or season or whatever that they're advertising for. If it's not fully pigmented, they probably didn't even intend for it to be fully pigmented anyways, and so it's just kind of like, well, you know, like, duh, what did you expect? That's just not what they're all about. Long ramble aside, this shade is pigmented. Oops. I'm like a little bit uneasy. It's not in my comfort zone to wear straight grays and blacks. I feel like it's so hard to pull off if your undertone is too olive or too warm. It really only looks good if you're like a neutral or cool. Like if you're like my eyelids especially are a lot warmer than the rest of me. I do really like that CoverGirl Olay foundation as a primer though, because it covers up the hyperpigmentation of my eyelids. So I feel like it looks better than it usually would. So like I have the Natasha Denona Xenon Midi palette. I mostly bought it to film with, I'm not gonna lie. In practice, that one really takes me out of my comfort zone. I found it really interesting that Roman chose to release a palette with this kind of color scheme with the lips and the blushes that they did, because this palette does not go with any of their cheek products or their lips. The cheek products and the lip products for spring 2024 are all very, very warm and bright. And so this palette doesn't really work with either of them. It's a nice addition to their range, and in and of itself, in a vacuum, I really, really like the color arrangement, hence why I bought it instead of the other one. But inside of the spring collection, it doesn't feel like it really fit. It's kind of like the odd duck of the collection. Also, the AC is on. For those who don't know, it's hot in the south. I kind of want to, let me see if I need a fluffier brush. I like a nice big fluffy brush. I'm going to go into, I'm going to go into the shade right here. Also, this past weekend was the GoFest Global weekend, and the local group that I'm a part of, they usually meet at a park nearby, and so that's where we have to go to like check in and to get the most number of raids. You want to go there, especially because the gym density is so high. But it was so hot. I went Saturday, and my heat tolerance is not good, sadly. It used to be better, and it's been much worse now that I have dysautonomia because my body temperature regulation is just not good anymore. I went Saturday, but for Sunday, me and a couple friends agreed to instead meet up at the nearby mall for Sunday, because I can do Saturday once, but if I were to go out to the park Sunday again, I'd get really sick. But we ended up doing a lot more walking and browsing than we anticipated, so by the time I got home, I just felt tired. I was just completely beat, and I'm still tired today. And I'm going to now take this shade here. It's a little bit darker. I thought maybe that shade I just used would be enough, but that gray was a lot more intense than I anticipated, so I'm going to use a third shade to really blend out that gray. As with most Korean formulas, the matte shades tend to be very, very soft. They tend to blend just beautifully, but if you have dry eyelids, be aware the mattifying aspect can be drying, and it can cause issues with adhesion if you don't prepare your eyelids properly. So just be mindful of the number of layers you're applying and hydrate your eyelids beforehand. But if you want mattifying eyeshadows that are really flattering to any potential texture, and you just want them to be like as matte as possible, and you want them to be really easy to use, I actually really like Korean eyeshadows for that purpose. The hard part really is just finding a palette that actually has a good range of light to dark, because there are a lot of palettes out there in the Korean market that are all like that exclusively, it'll be 14 shades of just this half. It won't go any deeper than this. And it's like, past a certain point, they all look the exact same on my eyelids. I don't understand what's the point of having that many redundant shades in there. Desicc's latest mega palette releases are totally guilty of this, and some of Wakemake's earlier ones also similar. I would just recommend being really, really particular about the color range you end up going for. Make sure that it has a nice, good tonal range so you don't end up with all these redundant light shades, and you'll be good to go. Unless you just want nothing but light shades because you wear very little eyeshadow. That's fine too. Like, go do that, enjoy. Then the Korean market definitely is good for you. Like, but if you're like me and you want a good range, just make sure you actually look at the color selection, look at the swatches. I personally really like the 3CE New Take palettes for this reason, especially the Raw Neutrals one. That one goes really, really dark. But this one, as you can see, and not bad either. The gray, as you can see, was not a total even application. You can see that there are some areas where it didn't quite apply evenly. But with my eyes open, looking at the camera, it looks pretty much fine. I have found that Korean shadows, when they start doing anything other than browns and oranges and corals, like when they start doing grays and blues and everything, the mattes can sometimes get a little bit uneven. I am using shimmer later. It'll cover up most of it. And also Roman's palettes are also, I would say, pretty affordable. I think I paid like all of like $15 to $17 for this palette. It goes on sale pretty often. I think the retail value, especially on Olive Young, is closer to like $25. But you can get it on sale and cheaper elsewhere, especially if you just like stalk YesStyle. Yeah, so you can see, especially on this eye, that it wasn't completely even. And it's also one of the potential downsides to using such a hydrating, tacky product as an eye primer, is that shadows can end up looking patchy. It's just how it be. But like, the exchange of not having my eyelids be completely dried out is worth it for me. But I would assume if you used, like a lot of Koreans will set their eyelids with powder before they put the eyeshadow on, and I'm assuming that would help a lot. I'm using it completely different from how they usually are expecting you to use an eyeshadow. So with that being said, I do want to start working on the lower lash line. So I am not going to use the gray on my lower lash line. I don't really like how gray on my lower lash line looks, but this is the other shade here, which has a little bit more of a, it's a little bit less gray and a little bit more brown. I don't do like the whole use an eyeliner or an eyebrow pencil to actually draw underneath because I feel like I always looks terrible on, but I do like using eyeshadow to just generally suggest that I can pretend that I have one. I don't really have much of an under eye fat prominence. Like it's noticeable if I'm like squinting or if I'm smiling, but if it's just like me normally, I don't really have any. And like actually you can get procedures in Korea where they inject filler to make it more prominent, but I would not put filler that close to my eyes. I feel like that's risky. So yeah, I don't really have an aegyosal, but it's okay because I can fake one with eyeshadow and it's fine. Next, I'm going to try using this shade. This is like the only real shimmer. This is like a matte sparkle. This is the only true shimmer that is in this palette, which is fine. Or actually no, I feel like, okay, this is like one of those really smooth, almost satiny shimmers, you can see. And then this is the one that's a little bit more sparkly. I'm not really a big fan of when Korean brands do these kind of smoother shimmers because here it is on the heel of my hand right there. It's this stripe right here. It just kind of, I don't really like when Korean brands do these because I feel like it's hard. They sometimes are not shiny enough to me, and and if they're badly done, which used to be a huge issue, then they just straight up look like chalk. So in this case, it's more of like just like this one's not bad. But I feel like for me, my preferences, I prefer something a little bit shinier. These kinds of eyeshadows, for me personally, I actually really like using them as highlighters. They feel more like soft highlighters to me, if that helps you kind of get more info on what kind of a shadow it is. But I know a lot of people prefer shimmers that are a little bit on the softer side that still kind of are smooth. So, you know, it's just up to you. So I'm going to use this shade right here because this is the one that I like. Yeah, you can see this one has a lot more sparkle to it. No plastic chunks. This palette does not have plastic glitter in it, which is such a huge problem with Korean palettes these days. I really try to actively, like, I could see a palette that I love every single shade of and I'm ready to buy it, and then suddenly I see there's plastic glitter chunks in it and I'm like, nope. As much as I want it, as much as it pains me, I'm not buying that. So, but this one is good. So I'm just gonna take this across the middle of my eyelid. This one seems to have multiple colors of sparkles in it, so it is such a multi-dimensional shade. This is, okay, yeah, you can see how pretty that is. There's pinks, oranges, blues, and purples that I can see, and especially on top of this darker matte. These two shades go so well together. Romand used to have, a long time ago, they released a Universe collection that comprised of a lot of sparkly singles that had really unusual reflex to them. So I feel like they kind of have like a history of being really good at doing these sparklier eyeshadows, and this one is so pretty. That definitely, like, I almost feel like the whole palette is worth it just for a shade like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take that on my lower lash line. Yeah, just put it across my whole lower lash line. Okay, so just because I might as well, I am going to try using this shimmer on my inner corner. If I don't like it, I'll just cover it up with something else, no big deal. Okay, so this is one of those like traditional iridescent shifty ones that is like a pink. So this is not my favorite shade, and that's purely a preference issue. I don't really like the iridescent pinky or iridescent reddy shades. That's like my least favorite kind of iridescent shift if we're talking about shifty shadows. So on a personal level, I don't really like these kinds of shades, and I also think that this particular formula from Korean brands tends to be a little bit too dry for me, and so it sometimes can risk looking chalky. In this case, as you can see, it doesn't look chalky, but it also just, the shimmer, the amount of shine and reflect is not very much either. And so I'm not really a big fan of shades like these. I'm glad this is the only shade like that in this palette. I feel like these still are not really where I would like them yet. It complements the eyeshadow quite well. Like, it actually complements the gray really well, so I'm not complaining in terms of color coordination. But it's not personally a type of shade I'm inclined to use. And I think Romand has all matte palettes that are out these days, so if you want a really nice, like, if you like how Korean eyeshadows tend to be super blurring and super soft and tend to blend really easily, but you don't like how Korean brands do their shimmers, which is completely fair, then I do believe Romand and CLIO both have all matte palettes. So you can have that that really, it's just such a different formula sensibility than what is usually done in Western brands. It's just completely different. Thankfully, mattes are so popular in Korea. There, you can very easily find one. But okay, I'm going to go ahead and just call this a done deal. Like, that's actually really nice. The inner corner, not really to my liking, but it fits with the look. So I, again, do think, however, that I kind of want to like adjust it a little bit. I am going to just use this Becca highlighter to adjust it a little bit and make it brighter. I'm not going to bother having the name of this product up in the text or anything because it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore. Stick this on like the very, very inner part. I just want to have like, you know, some actual brightness to this so that it's a little bit more obvious that it's shimmery. Okay, so that is the eyeshadow completed. I may do eyeliner, and if I do, I'm going to do that after I do my mascara. So let me just pull out the new mascaras I got. So the nice thing about Olive Young especially is that if you wait for the promo packs, you can usually get 1+1 deals where you pay for one mascara and they send you two. So frequently what I think happens is mascaras on Olive Young are priced way overpriced because the assumption is you're getting the 1+1, and so if you divide it by 2, that's like the intended retail price. So this is the first one I got. This is just new packaging, so that means it's a recent launch. It was recently manufactured. It should not be dried out when I open it, but this is their Peripera Black Cara. Korean brands tend to renew products very frequently compared to Western brands, and when they do, the name can change slightly and the packaging will change. So this is now called the Ink All Black Cara. This is a renewal of their flagship mascara. I believe I got it in the volume version, yeah, O2 Volume Curling, and you can see it's pink for their new Soda Cafe collection, which I think I bought some of their blushes from, maybe from in my YesStyle order, can't remember. And then this is the Holika Holika Lash Correcting Mascara. The packaging didn't change very much, but this is a renewal. I wanted to get the 1+1 of Define Volume, but that was sold out. So I got O2 Define Volume and O3 Long Extension. Assuming that I use these both together, it should give me like hella long and thick lashes. We'll see. I loved the O2 Volume Curling for the longest time. That was like my ride or die before it became very difficult to find, and what I could find would arrive dried out. Minsko just announced that she has released a new mascara. I need to watch that video to see who she made it with and which brand it is, and then if I want it, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it, because she's the one who recommended this to me, and I do actually legitimately trust her recommendations, especially if she like had a hand in making the product. Then I double trust it, because she has yet to lead me astray. But I think I'm gonna try the Peripera one. This was my holy grail before I discovered the Holika Holika one. So it'll be kind of a fun little nostalgia trip for me to go back and try this. Not like sponsored or anything, but I do have a code for Olive Young. You're welcome to use it if you'd like. And I do intend on making a video eventually and a reel discussing the pros and cons of various K-beauty sites. I do want to actually make that video because I think it'll be really handy, because I have bought from what feels like every place under the sun to track down certain products. Obviously I need to curl my eyelashes first. That would be really, really helpful. And I personally am not the biggest fan of buying mascaras off YesStyle because I feel like they're very prone to sending me dried out product. I feel like if you're going to get mascara from Korea, you really are better off buying from Olive Young for them, just to guarantee. Unless you know for sure on YesStyle that what you're buying is a new recent release overall. Like if you're buying an old flagship product that's been classic and been in circulation for a while, there's no guarantee they're not going to send you old crusty product. But if it just released, like completely new name and everything, and you know that you're getting that one, then that's fine. But I've even had instances where I bought what I thought was the renewed version and they sent me the old packaging. And I'm not going to use this mascara on my lower lashes because unless I have to, I do avoid using waterproof on my lower lashes. I just generally don't. I don't want to make my mascara harder to remove than it already is. And then I do like to do my lower lashes first, so I'm just going to use whatever is in my open pile. I'll probably let that dry and then I'll apply another layer after I finish my upper lashes because my lower lashes are so wimpy. I have like, what, 5 per eye, so. Okay, so I usually curl one eye and then I do mascara before my eyelashes have time to droop. I know sometimes when it's just been opened, they sometimes are a little bit too wet, but we'll see how this does. So I don't judge a mascara until I've actually gone through the entire life cycle of the tube, and then I'll decide if I will buy it again or not. Yeah, this definitely is not a dry tube. This is very much fresh and new. It's so nice sometimes to open it and be like, okay, yeah, can confirm, definitely fresh and not expired. Because I've even gotten expired mascaras from like Ulta and Sephora, especially as minis. It's hardly unique to YesStyle, so it's always nice to like actually actually get what you paid for. Of course I would get it on my eyelid, that's fine. I have to curl my lashes a lot for them to show past my monolid, so because of that it's very common for my bristles to bump into my skin when I'm putting on mascara. It's just kind of a fact of life at this point. Okay, so you can see it's not quite super like thick because it is a brand new tube. It's on the wetter side of things, but even though this is a fresh new tube, I feel like my lashes still look really, really good. And I'm going to go in with a second layer once that's dry, and that should help even more. Sorry, I know I like keep going out of focus because I have to hold the mirror so close to my face. I got way too much mascara on my innermost eyelids and now my eyes look really, really weird. And I don't like it when I get too much mascara there either because it tends to stick to the rest of my eyelids. Okay, second pass on the lower lash line. This is just what, sometimes it just takes using a new mascara and you're like, wow, I actually do have eyelashes after all. I love how my eyes look right now. So now that my mascara is on, and I'm gonna edit out so much of the application process because mascara and lashes for me is a whole routine in and of itself. But now that that's all on, I'm going to go ahead and put on some eyeliner. And sadly, the Pro 8 eyeliners I had been wanting to buy, specifically that neutral / cool tone brown one, all 4 of those sold out. I don't know if that was limited. I don't know if it's going to be restocked, but on Beauty Box Korea, which is the only place I can find them, they are sold out, which is such a shame, but that's just how it is sometimes. If you're late, you miss the party. I don't really like using eyeliner pencils when I have mascara on because the pencil will have, the pencil's gonna be all up in my eyelashes. So I'm going to use a gel eyeliner, and I've had it for a very long time now and it still feels fine. So I'm very happy with the product lifetime because even if you were to use this on a regular basis, I don't see how you could ever run out. Now, most people in Korea don't use black liner anymore. That's it's a very harsh color, but I like black eyeliner. And you can see I didn't apply it in a super intense manner. I kind of let it naturally blend and fade, so that way it harmonizes with how this look is a little bit more on the subtle side, slightly. I just love these. I feel like they are the best gel eyeliners on the market. I've tried some that are even more expensive and they are not as good as this one. And these, so back in the olden days, in the age of the dinosaurs, Melt used to never go on sale. And if they even went 15 to 20% off, that was considered a big deal. So I bought most of these eyeliners either at full price or only maybe 20% off at most. But now Melt goes on sale all the time, which I hope that's not a bad sign. So because of that, if you want these, just wait for a sale. Okay, the left eye did not work out like the right eye did. And then when you do have gel eyeliner, you do want to wash and wipe the brush pretty much immediately. So I always, right after using gel eyeliner, I do take my Sephora Daily Brush Cleaner, which I really like this. So I always stock up. If there's a points multiplier for Sephora collection or something, or during the Sephora sale, I always make sure I stock up. And I just start getting the bulk majority of the product off before it dries and sits in the bristles. It is so much easier to remove when it is still wet. Don't make the same mistakes that I do. And now it's pretty much clean. See that? See what's on the bottom here? That is accumulated, extremely ancient dried up product I could never get out because I was lazy one time. Okay, so that is my eyeliner and eyeshadow on. Just a really soft look. It's definitely a lot by Korean standards, but it still maintains a nice softness to it where the blend is really easy. And this sparkle shimmer that I used, it's just so pretty. I want to use this on top of a black now and see what I get out of it. I'm just amazed, and I do really like that for once I have a good mascara. My lashes are nice and visible. I do really like that. I think my eye makeup looks great, and it was nice and simple and not too difficult for me mentally to, like, you know, make it work and stuff. Okay, so moving on to blush, I definitely think because my inner corner turned out pretty pink that a pink blush will work just fine. So I'm going to use this one afterwards. So to start off with, I'm going to use the CLIO Air Blur Whip Blush. This is not new, but they do occasionally release new shades. This is a very, very, very dry cream product. So if you are scared of cream products because you don't like how wet they are, this is going to be essentially a matte dry cream. And I definitely am starting to see more matte cream blushes hit the market in America. These guys were doing it first. Well, not specifically CLIO. I don't think CLIO specifically did it first, but it definitely popped off in Korea and China way before it popped off over here. This is in the shade 11 Taro Milk Tea. My only warning to you specifically about these CLIO ones though is that they are not as pigmented as they look in the pan. So if you get one that's really light, it may not show up on you. Like this one barely shows up on me. Some of these, they look darker in the pan than they actually are going to apply. So just be careful. Maybe buy shades that are darker than you think you need. These ones are considered a little bit more outdated now in terms of matte cream blushes. I feel like the colors coming out from other brands more recently are a lot more, they're, you know, more intense and flattering. Like I think I still need to get my hands on the Fui ones. It just, the mental energy and the decision fatigue makes it so that I can't even begin to decide what shades I want from them, but I really need to get those. Those definitely are much more pigmented than these. Like that's kind of a newer gen cream product. So if you want a cream blush, but you want to make sure it's a little bit more intense and stuff like that, then I'd say maybe just go ahead and not get these CLIO ones. I feel like these CLIO ones are a little bit dated just in terms of matte cream formulas. It's almost like they kind of had to like walk so everyone else could run. Because this one can also sometimes be a little bit finicky with my base product. So I only have 2 shades. I'm probably not ever going to get any more beyond these 2. And I am going to have to use a setting powder to kind of blend because right on the inner part it's kind of mixing with my foundation funny, and my foundation, the one that I use today, is terrible, so that doesn't help either. I'm not really working on a great starting base, but it's okay, we'll make it work. So I just apply, I mostly, because this is so light, I mostly focus this on the inner part of my face. So now I'm going to go ahead and use contour, and I just mix the middle shades together. And then I am going to take, so there's this brightening powder here, which definitely seems like borrowing from Chinese trends. But I am going to take that powder and I'm going to use that to blend the inner part of my blush. And also I haven't put any setting powder on besides under my eyes for the concealer, so this will also help to set my face. This powder, the lighter powder in here, it's not meant to actually be a makeup setting powder, like especially if it's really hot and humid, it's not going to be enough. But for me right now, staying inside, this will be good enough. So I'm just going to use this. And that is the Romand Better Than Contour O2 Great Cool. This is a renewal. Their prior product had a circle shaped pan. Honestly, my skin looks dry. My skin does look dry. The base was not setting me up for success. The blush is on. The contour is on, very soft and pretty. I do quite like it. I am going to use some setting spray now on my face because I need it. I just used the Diablo one. Once I run out, I'm going to be hella sad, but that's just what I'm using right now. I was going to use the Hollicaholic one because it's a lot more pink, but I think this one will still work. This is a very old product. I actually don't know if you can get this anymore. This is their Heritage, the Romand Heritage highlighter. So I'm just going to use this one, and then I have it in the shade 02. This is an older highlighter, so I can definitely tell it's a little bit dated at this point, but this at the time was like the only Korean highlighter out there that wasn't just straight up chalk. It was, as you can see, it still has a very powdery appearance, and when you dip your brush in it, you pick up a lot of powder. So it's not like that smoother, more like almost baked formula that is really trendy these days. Like all the new highlighters coming out in Korea these days are all like of a baked or just a hard, or they're either really baked or they're really creamy and almost like creamy to the touch, like that. Like it's either one or the other, versus this being like a hard pressed powder that can get powdery. So this is definitely like a very like last gen formula, but at the time this was like the only highlighter on the market from Korea that I actively liked. I felt like every single one of the other ones looked terrible, and so yeah, you can see I think it looks pretty good. It has a slight purpleness to it, so that's why I chose it with today's look. And then I do like to put a little bit on my chin. The makeup is like honestly like super simple. I'm already almost done, which is good because the storm's rolling in. So I'm going to use BUXOM and Confidential. I know, not Korean, but it's okay. I do want to try more Korean lip liners, but it would be sheerly out of curiosity, not because I actually need more. Considering the one and sole purpose I use lip liners for, I do not need that many. But like, but if I had the money for it, I'd love to try more just for like curiosity comparison review. As Korean brands start trying to go more global, I wish I could be on their PR list. That'd be nice. With this Heart Percent product, you really should have something on underneath because this is kind of meant to like transform what you put on, what it goes on top of. So I am going to, let me see. Okay, so I am going to use it with this product from CHANTECAILLE in the shade Ruby. It is a lip veil. It looks red in the tube, but it's actually more of like a cool red. Like it's almost just like a blue-based pink. With the makeup look I have on now, this could work. It's a little bit bold, but it wouldn't not work. Oh my god. The sticker on the bag is in black, and so is the tube, so I have no clue what this is. Heart Percent Mood Changer 03 is what it says on the box. I'm going to probably have to hold on to this box for a little bit. Okay, I was like, wait, the font is black, the bottle's black. How am I supposed to read this? You can see it has a silicone doe foot, which is very popular to prevent, to make it easy to like wipe clean. It feels very thin, almost more like a lip oil consistency, which is nice. It doesn't feel thick or sticky at all. So now maybe this lip shade wouldn't have worked, because now I feel like it didn't really do much, because that lip shade might have been too much. This is a little bit more sheer than I anticipated. It does, I can feel that it's plumping, but it's like a cool minty sensation, so thank god, because if it started burning, I would be dead. It doesn't feel sticky or goopy at all, it just feels like a really light oil. So no matter how much you put on, your lips do not feel sticky at all, which is glorious. It's not quite what I was going for, but I think it definitely is going to be influenced by the shade you put underneath, so I probably shouldn't have used something this saturated. I thought it would, I'm not like a master of color theory. I can't always predict how something will turn out, especially if I don't know how opaque a product is to begin with. But I think this was fine. It still matches. The nice thing is that my makeup is soft enough and the tones technically still match, like it doesn't look awful. I think there is a storm rolling in, so it's good timing. And I do need to go check on how my kitten is doing. My bangs are crooked. I tried to trim them myself. We all know how that always goes. I need to get my bangs trimmed. I also had literally just washed my hair right before doing Go Fest, and then I sweated so much that now they're looking like super sad again. I haven't let my hair down for a video in a while. My Kerastase hair serum is almost out and it is sold out everywhere, so my hair is so dry. You can see how much my color has faded out. I need to get it redone. I kind of want to go purple. I don't know. So this is going to be my finished look, ignoring the disaster that is my bangs. This is why you don't cut them yourself at home. But yeah, I don't really have too much to say at this point other than the fact that I do like how it all turned out. I enjoy every product I used and I had a lot of fun with this. I'm just so glad that I finally have a working waterproof mascara back in my collection. I wish they would start releasing dark shades of blushes again, but if they ever start doing that, I'll recommend their blushes, but their blushes have been really, really light for quite a few years now, which is a little bit annoying, but I am just very glad that my mascara works, because now I look like I have eyelashes and I finally don't look like I have no eyelashes, and I like that. I do wish I had picked a different shade of base lip color. I think that that experiment did not pan out, but I was kind of surprised the Heart Percent one was a lot more sheer than I anticipated, so I will keep messing around with that on my own time to see what it looks like. I am at this point about like 6 to 7 minutes out from it being put on, and I am happy to say that I'm getting nothing but cool mintiness. I'm not getting any kind of pain, so we'll see. But yeah, I definitely much prefer if it has to plump, I would much rather it be a minty plump than a hot plump. I cannot tolerate hot and spicy, it hurts so bad, but minty and cool just feels honestly refreshing. So this is definitely what I would consider my daytime look. I know it's a little bit intense for other people, but I like it. So I hope you guys have a good day, stay safe, stay cool. I hope things are okay for you, and with that, I will see you guys in next week's video. Bye bye.